What's up, familia? We had some major announcements at PulseCon yesterday with the creators of the X-Men animated series, Eric and Julia Leewald, announcing a new X-Men animated series wave. Woo!
Okay.
And of course, we got feels here at Power of X-Men, and those feels lead to other feels, specifically about the 5-inch ToyBiz days and the figures we still have yet to get from that era. So we got two very special, very incredible, very meticulous guest hosts today that everyone knows and loves. And we have come together and assembled a top 5 list of ToyBiz figures from the 90s we'd like to see in Legends format. And our first guest convinced me to cover What If. We have 9 episodes of us kicking together, from laughing about Demand of Money to crying about Chadwick Boseman to dissecting every single frame of that series. Please welcome back Madrox.
Hey everyone, so excited to be here. We are going to get our Toy Geek on today.
Yes! And the second guest we have today is someone so special to me. When we were assembling our lists, he knew exactly the ones I was putting on. He's been my best friend since MySpace days. I think you may have been in my top 9 MySpace.
Oh, so I just missed out on the 8.
She
was a top 8
code for a top 9.
I thought it was 9. I didn't know it was 8.
Wasn't it 8? I don't know. I just missed the list.
It was probably
what I heard.
You were there. You were on the top 8. Let me top 8 lists of MySpace. Right after my cousin and Jeff, obviously.
What a privilege.
What a privilege. We did a podcast called Generations of X, which is still available on this podcast platform as season 1, and you should all go check it out. We interviewed Ryan Ting and the Leewalds there.
Deja vu yesterday.
Oh, we will get into that. When we had Cy Spurrier on Power of X-Men, there was only one person I wanted to talk to him with, and that was Flinkman, who is back on the show.
Back again. I mean, you can't get rid of me. I'm like Hasbro with Jean Grey. I keep popping up in lines in unexpected places.
I cannot believe you said that. Why?
I mean, I had to. It's been a while since I've been here, so if I don't kick it off with the slightest, was that even shade?
No.
Just Gene facts. We have 500 Hasbro jeans at this point. So
you're right. And you know what? Out there in retailers, we have 500 Dazzler peg warmers. So it all balances
on
out.
The pegs. Isn't it crazy? Our faves and their impact, I swear.
I don't want to bypass the fact that this is the second annual action figure episode for you two. So
yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear from you two the impact of last year's episode and then the interceding year, and what really surprised you, what you're still hoping for, because people should really go check out that episode. It's a lot of fun to listen to. I think it might have been the first episode I listened to.
Oh, really? We love a Gateway episode.
Right? Gateway.
Oh my God, poor Ryan Ting. We were like, hey, Ryan, come on the show. We're just going to ask you some questions.
A few questions.
3 hours later.
Oh my God. Oh, and God bless him. It was no shit. It was also January 6th. There was a lot happening in this country at the time, and he still took the time to sit down and talk Legends with us for 3 hours. Bless that man.
That man. We love you.
But Ryan. So far as my list last year, it was 90s Richter, 90s Siren, 90s Feral, 90s Domino, and 90s Wolfsbane. So I am honestly overjoyed with the progress we've made just in the last year. I mean, we got my number 1 Richter with the boots. Check. We got 90s Domino. Check. I mean, that's 2 out of 5. That's a pretty good start. I'm pretty happy with progress.
We know Siren's coming. Oh yes, look at the OG Richter.
Wind him up for us.
Yes. Look at that.
Oh, he has that vibing action.
You know, we should have. The writing was on the wall. The wall.
It was always there since day one. I don't remember my list. It probably was Doug, Fabian Cortez,
WizKid.
Oh, was it WizKid?
Oh,
Yes, I love
WizKid.
WizKid.
WizKid was on there.
Those are
You can't
those are
even
my thing.
remember your
I
list.
can't. I can't even remember what I did last night. So-
I mean,
I was on the Acela back too. No, they closed the bar car on me.
what?
That's so sad.
I know, it's furious. But I was on the Acela back from Boston. No, WizKid, Fabian Cortez, and Doug, we still haven't seen, and we know Doug is eventually coming. I mean,
Eventually.
they've hinted at that. But Madrox, what were some of the figures on your list a year ago?
I think I really have been focusing on the X-Men we haven't seen before. And I think Banshee is a big one.
Yeah.
Just some of those classic characters that we haven't seen yet, or they came out in the old Marvel Legends line. So they really need a refresh. I think one of the ones that pops to the front of my mind is Longshot.
That's exactly. I was going to interrupt you and say Longshot because that figure kind of holds up a little bit, but he's
It's a
in
beautiful sculpt.
dire need.
Yes. So I would really love, we're covering figures that haven't even been made in the 6-inch scale later on in this episode, but there are some that need a refresh desperately. And they talked about the 20th anniversary of the Legends line. Some of these figures are over a decade and a half old, and we need to see some fresh takes on them because the technology has changed so much for action figures since then. And we know that Hasbro can knock it out of the park when it comes to sculpts and also articulation at this point.
And you can tell, you can just tell from the amount of Marvel product that's on the shelves that, you know, Marvel is a priority for Hasbro, and it's like their cutting edge brand. So the things that they can do with action figures that they could do with a figure like Longshot now, like I can't even imagine. Like I sit here and I say the ToyBiz Legends Longshot is still okay, but then, you know, 2 years from now, Hasbro has one out and it's going to just blow it out of the water in ways that I don't expect.
I thought the same thing about Pyro. I was like,
Yeah.
Pyro's a pretty perfect Toy Biz figure. And then I held the new one. I was like, oh no.
Like, I was wrong.
Yeah, I was
the
wrong.
proportions.
I know. But I mean, I want to reach for my long shot figure. It's somewhere in these cases I have right next to me. But I saw him recently and I put him against some of the legends here. And he held up nicely just because he has a really good sculpt. I mean, but
True.
Again, it's a technology with the action figure that I think is going to be, you know, what's going to make that figure stand out again in a new era. But can I ask you both about yesterday's PulseCon and the reveals we got? What were your overall feels?
Daryl, you can go first. You can take it first.
All right. I think they played it safe. I wasn't really surprised by a whole lot that they revealed. I was really happy with what we did see. I think the things that we saw are really good. And some things not X-Men related that I was really impressed with. I liked the Captain America. I think that figure is so good. And the features that they're incorporating even into the shield. So you can put the blast effects on the outside of it, like he's deflecting bullets. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Iron Man, we just got a whole wave of Iron Men. So I get why they're doing it because it's the 20th anniversary. I wish that they would have profiled something different other than Iron Man. Because I think their strategy is that they're trickling out so that they can save some of the other releases for going live on a Marvel Monday or something like that, or Fan First Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So it keeps the excitement up because when you look at the pre-order dates and when some of these figures are expected, I think some are March and some are May right now. And with shipping the way it is, who knows if those dates will hold true or not even. So they played it safe with what they revealed. When we get to the animated series figures, that was so cool. The packaging itself, I was like, I don't even need to see the figure. The packaging is perfect. I would pay for that packaging. And I'm an out-of-the-box collector, like both of you are, where I don't keep really anything.
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Everything.
what?
I recycle everything. I'm going to keep these boxes. So I display them. The artwork is incredible.
Oh,
So
I know.
that was really cool to see. And I want to hear your thoughts, Flink, on everything, but then the specific paint application for those animated series figures and what you think about the cell shading.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. I mean, it's about the only way you're going to get me to buy a new Tiger Stripe Wolverine when I'm already so thrilled with the Lover's Triangle 3-pack version is to add some cell shading. So I think that was really cool. Of course, I'm excited for the packaging, and I will note something that they even call out on the packaging itself is that it's a plastic-free packaging, which is something that Hasbro announced a couple years ago. And I remember thinking at the time that they were shifting to plastic-free packaging. That's hard to say by some near time in the future. And I remember thinking, how's that going to work? There's not going to be windows on these packaging. It's just going to be boring boxes on a shelf. And here they are decoing it like a VHS tape. And I'm like, holy shit, this packaging is even cooler than what we normally get. I'm actually going to hold on to this. So I'm really excited about it. I think the packaging is definitely a huge motivator for why I pre-ordered the figures when maybe I wouldn't have otherwise, since they're so similar to the ones just right over there. But I don't know. I didn't see anything from you, Dayspring. But did you notice that they stealthily announced Jean and Storm?
Oh, I did. That was in my notes right here. Jean and Storm. But you know what I'm shocked about? Why no Morph? Like, Morph would have been like the obvious slam dunk. And
to have the Leewalds reveal him would have been just the icing. Yeah, I can't. That's what I didn't. Morph isn't coming.
And the thing about Morph, I think he's only a very special character for those of us who grew up on the animated series and know him very well. So we would want, the Leewalds to reveal it. I know we were on DMs going back and forth. I was like, I don't know if they would do the cell shading because this is an animated show from 30 years ago. I mean, that seems risky. I think for fans, of course, it's a slam dunk. But for retailers, I would be like, if I was at Target, I'm like, why are you selling me an action figure from a cartoon that's like 30 years old at this point? That tells us that the Disney Plus platform for the show, it's an absolute killer. Like
That's what I was going to say. Like, there's a reason that the X-Men exclusives have been on Shop Disney, because Disney is like, give us those X-Men. Those are our big winner.
Look right here, Target right here. And this is the animated series, girls.
I'm going to Target as soon as we're done.
You're welcome. I'll pick you up one. I think I had a lot in my,
Is that in the ladies or the men's?
It's in the men's. It's in the men's section. But we had a lot in my Target. I was going to get 2 because I like pit stains. I don't want pit stains.
Same here. Yeah, if it's a white shirt, get me a couple through it real quick.
But, the thing, Flink, I wanted to circle back on what you were saying about the plastic-free packaging, because I, too, wondered how they were going to do that. And it's not so much with collectors like me, you, and Daryl, but more like kids who are perusing the aisles at Target who are not going to actually see the figure inside. I wonder if that's going to take a hit there, because I agree with you. I think the packaging is gorgeous. I know what the figure is going to look like before I buy it, just because we're in that community. But I'm curious, like, what about little Flink, little Daryl, little Dayspring, who are perusing those aisles and don't see how cool Wolverine? I'm just curious what their marketing approach for that is. I'm sure they've had to have cleared it.
It looked like there was like a to scale photo of the figure on the back of the packaging, which I know is not always representative of exactly what is going to be in it, but at least they put a figure in there on the package so that you can at least see what you're getting, I guess. I'm not sure. I actually, I had my first windowless package from Hasbro. It was a pack of Power Ranger Lightning Collection. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the putties of the Zeo seasons, the robot cogs. And they were not pictured anywhere. You couldn't see the figures. And I remember being like super annoyed by that at first, like getting it and being like, oh, I'm not going to be able to, see if the paint apps are good. I just can't see the figure. And it was, I was frustrated by that at first. So as a kid, I can definitely see being put off by not being able to see the actual toy inside, but like also that packaging.
I know. What
are they going to do for like a mainline release? Because these are .com exclusives.
Yeah.
What is a Legends plastic-free packaging figure going to look like on the shelves at Target? I really don't know.
The first one they sent to retail that was plasticless was MODOK. So
yep.
I remember them calling that out as, this is our first figure that has no plastic. You cannot see it. We're going to see how it goes. And I feel that MODOK has been sitting on shelves, but it's a higher price point as well.
Yeah. And it's MODOK.
And
I love MODOK.
Yeah.
But it's MODOK. I don't see him flying on shelves.
So it'll be interesting to see once they roll out this sort of packaging for an entire wave that goes to retail, what impact it has, or what sort of special display they have to create to send out with the wave, so that the Targets of the world have to put up maybe a graphic sign that shows the figures. So when you're looking and browsing, there's an 8.5 by 11 or something right there that's showing off the figures, so kids can say, oh, that looks really cool. If I were to see these figures on the shelves, the animated series ones, I would obviously buy them because the packaging kicks. And it's everything that my 90s kid deep down inside me loves. Neon, action, like it looks so cool, but how does that translate to your normal Spider-Man wave or something like that? I guess we'll see. And I think it's really great that they're moving towards.
Definitely.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Can't
wait. But yeah, I mean, I'm always curious. I mean, Flink, you know this to death. I'm always ad nauseum. I'm always curious about the business aspect of that and like how they pitch to sellers and stuff like that. But I thought we got Wolverine and Jubilee and Jean and Storm. That seems like a slam dunk for me personally. I'm happy with them. With the Legends anniversary waves, we got Steve Rogers, which looks really good. We got Iron Man, who looks really good. Are we getting that ToyBiz Wave 1 and finally getting a new Toad? That's
so did they announced it, right?
Yeah, they did. They confirmed it is the entire first wave. So yeah.
I'll be honest, I had tuned out by that point, but I saw Toy Shiz post in his Iron Man post in the description for it that they did announce Toad full reveal coming later.
Yeah.
So that's what I know.
I had to mute it because I was with a client yesterday. Yeah. But I mean, I was watching. My client's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just on a conference call
with my friends,
my online friends here." So I didn't hear that part. So they did announce Toad and Hulk then.
Yep.
I didn't hear Hulk. I heard. I did hear Toad.
Yeah, it's both of them.
Awesome.
Great. Oh, well, I'm excited. I'm super excited.
I mean, we're way past due for an updated Toad. I mean, like that Toad wasn't even made for Legends. So like that Toad was due for an update before he was even released.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a 2-pack with the movie Toad.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's how old that figure mold is.
Oh, ew.
That's how old he is.
The lack of articulation. He had his ankles spun around was
and then he's
best articulation.
And he has like the frog glued
the Toad.
On. The Toad.
Toad had a Toad.
I also have him here. Damn, I should have pulled all these out.
I know.
So something I wanted to touch on that Flink, you mentioned, it ties into what you're saying, Dave Spring, the business aspect that obviously Marvel is their big money maker. And I watched part of the Star Wars panel on Friday, and nothing screams to me that Marvel is one of their flagship lines than their the Rancor for the HasLab for Star Wars fans for the Black Series, which is the same scale as Marvel Legends, 6 inches. And they posted their own HasLab. And the Rancor for non-Star Wars fans, it's a big monster. And the dimensions are impressive. It's really in scale with 6-inch figures.
Yeah, it looks cool.
But I looked at the the goal, and their goal is 9,000 backers.
Whoop.
You compare that to Galactus, which is 16,000, which was light years ahead of what the Sentinel was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember everyone wondering, are we even going to fund Galactus? And obviously, it was blown out of the water. And we got all of the stretch goals for Galactus, but the Rancor is priced the same price as Galactus. And it's significantly smaller. It has, I think, around the same points of articulation because you have the fingers and everything. So I just checked it right now. They are at 3,266 out of 9,000 already. And they have 43 and a half days to go.
Mm-hmm.
So as a Marvel fan, I feel a little cheated because I wish they would have set that bar lower for Galactus, because I feel they sort of skimped out on stretch goals. I wish that we would have gotten another Herald or something like that, because that would have been so cool, instead of just the final stretch goal being the Doctor Doom head for Galactus. Okay. But anyway, that says to me, they know that they can get money from the Marvel fans, that they can set that bar super high, and they're still going to make that money. So good for them for making such an incredible product that makes all of us rabid fans that consume basically whatever they put out. I'm not an Iron Man fan, but obviously the sales are there for them to do an entire wave of Iron Man and have people get excited about it.
Oh, yeah. And I think that you can just sort of see, going back to like just the number of reveals that we got at PulseCon this year, it was, everyone was fairly reserved in what I feel like they revealed. We didn't get a lot of Power Rangers. We didn't get a lot of Star Wars. We didn't get a lot of G.I. Joe or Marvel. Those are the ones that I watched. I didn't watch any of the others. May have gotten a shitload of Transformers. I don't know. But across the board, it seemed rather limited. And I feel like that probably has to do with something that you touched on earlier, Daryl, about the shipping circumstances. I feel like they are so much that they've already announced that should probably be on shelves already, that isn't, that they probably were like, oh, we have to like really rein in, what we reveal. And I think we were talking about this the other day. There are 37 announced Power Ranger Lightning Collection figures that have not hit retail yet. And we're talking things that were announced as far back as like February have not shown up at retail yet. Meanwhile, Legends, they just keep coming and relatively on time. So there's clearly some sort of internal prioritization within Hasbro that Marvel is one of their big money makers, and they're clearly paying for some sort of expedited or priority shipping to make sure that product hits on time. And, I think that they need, one of the reasons that they would have maybe been conservative with their backer count for Star Wars, HasLab at this point, is because they need it to look like a smashing success. They need to blow it out of the water. Otherwise, the Star Wars brand probably isn't looking as great as it once did. And I think that, it's just a sign of like how the culture, it blows my mind that the culture has shifted so much that Marvel toys are now seemingly prioritized more than Star Wars and Power Rangers, which certainly was not the case in our childhoods.
Nope.
No, not at all.
And I mean, we won, kids. We won.
We have a whole
all of those things.
We have an Iron Man wave. Just Iron Man. We won. Yeah. I mean, it's just so wild to think that back in the day when Star Wars was a priority and like the Avengers were like C-list, that we would live in a world. And remember, I think, Flink, you and I talked about this like back in like 2008, where I was like, no, man, like Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman, those are like icons. There's no way the Avengers could ever surpass that. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Batman, who? Like Superman, who? Literally Superman.
I mean,
who?
Superman, who for sure. Like Superman, who even? I don't look. I'm gonna piss off so many people, but I've never been a Superman fan. So to see him like flop at the box office while Marvel ascends to new heights is kind of like. I can't help it. It's like I get more gratitude out of that than I do of like thinking about all the people who told me that superheroes were lame and like cool kids played sports and like all of that stuff. Like I get more satisfaction out of Marvel beating Superman than I do like Marvel being more popular than sports these days. I love it.
Yeah. No, man, growing up reading comic books, it was tough, man. People just thought you were weird, you were a nerd, and now it's cool. And it's also fun because people come to you and they're like, but what happens next? What does this mean? And you're like,
oh my God.
I will tell you. And this was so true during WandaVision. Like everyone was like, tell me about Wanda.
Yes.
It's like, yes, finally, sit down. Let me tell you about West Coast.
It was your dream come true.
It was my dream come true. But also, we got the West Coast Avengers line announced, and I'm so excited for that with Wanda and White Vision. And we have, obviously, Tigra as well. So I'm happy. I'm so happy.
It's so weird because I love the West Coast Avengers, and for them to have retro packaging that says West Coast Avengers blows my mind. Because after the arc where we get White Vision coming out, that comic goes to shit.
Yeah.
So it is bad.
Wanda has her moment.
There are whole arcs where you are just plowing through it, and on the other side you're just hoping there's something, and there's not. So
that's a lot of 90s comics, but yeah, 90s Avengers for sure.
But they're highlighting some really good West Coast Avengers. Like they are picking the perfect time frame for that team. I bought the whole Disney Plus wave because it had White Vision. I'm like, this can go in my West Coast Avengers display. It doesn't need to anymore because they made me a White Vision from the
with bare feet, no less.
Yes. With bare feet.
I have to say, yay, but I'm slightly annoyed that I have to buy another Wanda that looks almost exactly like the one that I already have,
Matters.
Except not metallic. And I've been complaining about that Wanda being metallic. I was like, she doesn't go. Like, when does Wanda wear metallics? And now I know they were just waiting to get me again. My third Wanda on this body.
I'm really okay with what they're doing with like the animated series and like these retro card packaging using these old molds and like giving us clever packaging and new decos.
Yeah.
It's funny that like a couple years ago, I probably would have been like, and now I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I need that other Wanda right now, and I need another Tiger Stripe Wolverine. And it's exactly what you said, Flink. It's like it needed to be the cell shading and needed to look like the animated series in order for me to get it.
With the rounded animated series claws. Like his animated series claws are a very specific rendition. And I'm happy that they put that detail on the figure.
And his Jean Cyclops photo, like that meme has roots.
Yeah. Well, I have to wonder a little bit who thought of it first, Hasbro or Mondo. Not that I ordered both. I love both. I will be happy to have a 12-inch and a 6-inch Wolverine, emo Wolverine, being sad about who are y'all going to put in the frame? Are y'all going to put anyone in there?
What if it's just like Scott's butt?
Just like the frame of him. Like lying on the floor. I love it. I love that. Perfect. That's how they should just ship it like that, because we know he's not really crying over Jean.
He's never crying over Jean.
I'll say one thing about the panel. I did like the voting for the reveal at the end, whether you wanted the hero, the villain, or the redo. I would, of course, voted for the redo. I was hoping it would maybe be an ex-villain, but Despair looked cool. I won't buy him, but he looked cool enough.
He looked cool. Yeah, I think if you're a fan, I saw a lot of traction for that on social media from fellow X stands. So
yeah,
he looks great.
And what about Vulcan?
Oh, that's
Oh
right.
my God,
Vulcan.
we didn't
I
even
forgot.
talk about Vulcan or Eenie or Meanie. I know Dayspring has feels on getting a maggot. That's for sure.
I mean, I want maggot like right now.
I wanted maggot since 1996.
Oh my God. Since that
Flying fighters.
I literally just Instagrammed that gene this morning. I literally just stop reading my mind. Yeah, I mean, when that a 90s gene with a Phoenix effect and a maggot like in a wave, sign me up. I was ready for it, and here we are. Still haven't gotten it. I'm excited. Like, let's see where that goes. I don't think there was much to say. I mean, it's just a digital rendering, so I'm excited. That wave is seemingly confirmed, but like, I feel like Marvelous News is always on point when they report.
Oh yeah.
Those things. So I kind of mentally prepared. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't very phased when David Nakayama, was rendering the art, and then we got the reveal for that. But if it was an actual figure, I would probably be a lot more excited. But I'm glad he's confirmed.
Yeah. Vulcan's not like high on my list of most wanted X-Men characters. I don't even know if I'll put him with my heroes or the villains at this point. I mean, he's wearing an X belt and he's a hero now. I don't know, but I'm more excited for the maggot tease, I think, than I was for Vulcan.
Yeah. And, Vulcan, who I want, isn't like the Summers brother I want the most right now. That we will talk about later.
Put a pin in that.
But Daryl, what did you think of Vulcan?
I'm excited that basically they confirmed the first of that rumored wave. Yeah. And again, they're playing it real conservative because we got the render of it. Mm-hmm. We did a prototype and they didn't go any further for that wave. So it will be interesting to see how they trickle these things out because they have a good mix now. Yeah. They have a few waves that they partially announced. So they have a lot of fodder for the coming months to give us something to keep the excitement up because, we're all going to gobble it up. And we're all going to blow up Instagram every single time they announce even one figure from one of these waves. So it's pretty smart. They didn't reveal a whole lot for 2022.
Yeah.
And of note on that conservative line, the Star Wars HasLab is not being delivered until 2023.
Damn.
They are doing that long-term planning because of the whole supply chain thing going on.
I mean, I've had a re-armored Boba Fett cosplay helmet from Hasbro that I ordered the week they revealed Boba Fett on The Mandalorian late last year, and it's had a date of this December the entire time. So like the de-emphasis on Star Wars is real and has been.
Yeah.
Are the I'm sorry, I'm on the website now because I didn't know the pre-order links went up.
Oh my God.
So I'm like getting
them. You're done now.
Are they supposed to ship in March 1st? Is that the date, or is it sooner if you're a PulseCon member and you got it on the right time?
Which one are we talking?
So for the animated series and for animated series, I have May and June 2022. Mm-hmm. And then for the West Coast Avengers, I'm seeing March.
Yep, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Yay.
So
order.
Some of the PulseCon exclusives were here now and some weren't. For instance, I ordered the Marvel Legends animated Venom, and they took my monies already. He's going to send, whereas the PulseCon Pudgy Pig Power Rangers exclusive isn't shipping until April. And that was across the board. That wasn't just like for non-Pulse premium members like it was last year. He was never here. So that, again, like, I'm sorry to say, as much as I love Power Rangers, it's clearly not where Hasbro is putting their priorities right now so far as getting the inventory here.
Womp, womp. Womp, womp. All right, fellas. So we are here to discuss our top 5 figures from the ToyBiz days that have not seen the light of day in Legends format. So,
and the list is getting pretty slim.
It's true.
So I think we're going to have some surprises for folks.
All right,
because Hasbro has been great. They've given us a whole lot, but there are still a lot that we want as crazy Marvel stands. So,
will we ever be satisfied?
The answer is no. The answer is never.
Like, Ryan, Dwight, y'all are doing a really great job, but We're never going to be
We're just
fully
crazy.
satisfied.
Where are figures? Where are the figures?
Where are the figures? We need them.
We so crazy. So we'll kick off our list. So folks at home, the way we're going to do this, we're going to do like a round table discussion. Each of us are going to say our top 5 figures we want. We'll kick it off with Flink. We'll go to Daryl, and then we'll come to me. Yes. And Flink was so good when I was putting my list together. He knew exactly the ones I was thinking. And
I knew who to avoid.
Yeah, and who to avoid. There was one figure that I knew you were going to put in there, and I was right. And I was like, oh, but I can't take it from him.
You can't. You couldn't. Can't.
But on my top 5, I don't have Jumpsuit Rogue or Space Jean Grey, which were 2 of the ones I would have put in. But we have plenty of Rogues, and I don't think we have enough Jean Greys, but
never too many.
But never too many. And then Daryl, your list was absolutely phenomenal.
So I'm really excited to discuss you guys' lists. Like, you guys' lists are amazing. And I'm just going to be completely honest. Like, this was a tough assignment. I don't know if you guys struggled with this as much as I did, but I had a list. Like, we say that there's not too many options for them to make, but really there's like the 90s, like ToyBiz figures are so iconic to me that even the people they have no business making. They had no business being in the line then. They have no business being in the line now. I still want. Yeah. And so to that end, I had to start my list with a super random character. So if we want to go ahead and reveal, my first choice is La Lunatica. I have to, like I said, I have to throw in a completely off the wall choice who has no chance of being made. And honestly, I know like next to nothing about the character. All I really know is that as a young gay boy, her giant hair, her huge pushed up boobs, and her metallic purple outfit were just everything. And thank you, Daryl. I loved the figure that I bought both versions that we have on display here. But I have to ask if adding that little black harness like really made her ensemble more conservative.
No, it made her kickier.
Right. Absolutely. It certainly made her more appealing to my young gay self. I'm like, oh, her spike choker and this little harness thing. Like it was just everything.
This is when ToyBiz was redoing some of their figures. Like when we got the Generation X Emma without like her white tights, and then they painted on her thighs those white tights. And then I think they did them with the X-Men movie wave too, with like Jean. They made her zip up.
There were actually like 3 versions of Jean and Storm. There was the one where their boobs were like full out. There was the version where they painted a bra on, and then they actually re-sculpted it, zipped up.
Yeah.
I had all 3 versions, of course, just like I had all of these. I don't know if it's the fact that I just really loved this figure because of how cool she was, but she also shared a body with the ToyBiz Xena figures.
Yeah.
Both the 5-inch and 10-inch, which of course I had and I loved. I love this figure. Like I said, I know nothing about the character. I don't think I've made it past the first 3 issues of X-Men 2099, but
you're not missing much.
This is essentially like, I mean, she's a drag queen, basically.
Yes, she is.
I'm
we
obsessed.
have to get Demanda to do this.
Oh my God.
There's our Demanda reference.
There's our Demanda reference. It wouldn't be an episode.
Please.
No, we did a Demanda reference in the intro with Demanda Bunny.
Well, we're going to reference Demanda 20 more times.
20 more times.
We probably will, yeah.
We're going to summon her. She's going to pop up behind us.
I remember finding this figure. Was it with the Generation X wave or the Monster wave that it was simultaneously released with? I don't remember.
Generation X.
Generation X. I remember
2099 and Gen X were both, I think, at the same time.
I remember finding these 2 waves together, and I was just so blown away. And first of all, you had the mystique of X-Men 2099. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. These are the X-Men of the future. Who is this woman with her choker, and her Xena,
boobs
and her Lucy Lawless body? I loved it. I was so intrigued by her. I have the comic book cover where she returns later on in the series, where she's kind of like in space like that. But the entire wave, you had like Mean Streak, who was such another anomaly for me. So I'm like with you, Flink. I may not know the entire history of this character. I've only read volume 1 of X-Men 2099, and I didn't think it was that good. I thought the art and the vibe was great, but the actual series itself, we can always talk about later. But I'm always going to have a soft spot for this figure, and I am so glad you put her on here because I wouldn't have included her on my top 5 list, but that's why I love you so much, because this just pulls at the heartstrings.
I mean, typically we know that I'm all about, completing teams and doing iconic X-Men that haven't been done, but like I had to go with a super random choice to kick us off here.
Absolutely.
Here's something, maybe someone who has read more 2099 than I have. Is she furry or does she have white skin? Because I've always kind of pictured her as feline, and I definitely used her as my Hepzibah back in the day.
Yes.
But I don't know. Is she just like is she just goth?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't see Nightcrawler as furry still, like in my head. I know he's furball, so like obviously I know he's supposed to be furry, but for Nightcrawler, I'll always see him with like blue skin. Same with La Lunatica here. Like I just see her with just white skin, but she could very well be furry.
Yeah. Who knows? And maybe if she's made, the new sculpt will show us.
Yeah, I'm like, is she going to be on the Tigra body? We'll see. Assuming we ever get into the weeds with our Marvel.
Listen, Ryan Ting loves you, and he was here like, I'm going to do a Richter just for Flink
with boots.
So right here, you're getting La Lunatica.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. That's going to be.
I'm sorry, Jesse Spano. How excited are you?
I'm so excited. Like, give me some Pointer Sisters realness right now.
And if this ever was made, this is going to be an exclusive for like one website. And it's not even going to be like Shop Disney. It will be like deepdisneydiscounts.com.
Oh, I mean, that's probably where she got her outfit.
Oh my God. You guys are so salty. All right.
Salty for a Sunday morning. Okay, so moving on, we're going to get a little bit back on track. Exodus. Now, this really should be either Deathbird or Marrow because, the ex-villain shelf behind me, minus the Hellfire Club, is pretty much a sausage fest. But I don't think I want the ToyBiz versions, like the versions ToyBiz made of Deathbird and Marrow. So I landed on Exodus because not only is he having a moment right now on the Quiet Council, but he's still rocking this over-the-top, fabulous 90s hot pink and white cape look. So I had to give him this spot. And honestly, just looking at this figure, it still slaps. Look at that guy.
Yeah,
he looks incredible.
That's shoulder pad realness. That qualifies for shoulder pads.
Yeah, I'm curious why we haven't gotten him yet, because he is a member of the Quiet Council. And at the time that Hoxbox was being, first rolled out, all members of the council have Marvel Legends of themselves. I mean, now we can argue that not all the council members have figures of themselves because we got Destiny sitting on the council now. But I'm perplexed why Exodus hasn't gotten a figure yet, given his popularity. I wonder if they're going to do like a Magneto, like Acolytes box set, and we'll get him, we'll get Fabian Cortez and and Amelia. I'm curious where they're going with it, but it seems pretty weird that we haven't gotten him yet. I'm wondering if they'll do something similar to like the Hellfire box set.
Yeah, and we seem to get through Amazon one multi-pack a year. So we got Alpha Flight, then we got Thanos, his crew, and then we just got the Wolverine one. So I think they're probably, if I predict correctly, probably going to go with an X theme again, because 2 of the 3 have been X themed and sell pretty well.
Oh yeah, no, and I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in Krakoa Wave 2.
Which I was expecting to see yesterday. I thought we were gonna get like a normal modern X-Men wave with Captain Britain, with Exodus, with Doug Ramsey. I mean, we know Doug Ramsey is going to be released as a New Mutants, like Walgreens type figure. So
yeah, he's going to be with the sunspot and the cannonball heads.
Yeah,
that's great. But I am with you. I think a Krakoa Doug would be amazing, and toss him in with Exodus, and would be.
And let's call it a wave. Call it a wave.
Yeah, call it a wave. I mean, technically, if the rumors weren't already out there, one might speculate that a wave with Vulcan in it could be a post Hoxpox wave, but the speculation is already out there, so we know that that's not the case. But as soon as we get a chance to find a spot for Exodus, I think it must be done.
Exodus is a must. Are we in agreement?
Yes,
absolutely. So my next one is the only figure that I allowed myself to include from my list last year. I wanted to try and make it unique, but I did choose random as my Build-A-Figure, most wanted Build-A-Figure last year, and I have to include him again here because he's just that badass. Now, a huge reason that he was my choice for Build-A-Figure is because of this 90s ToyBiz figure. I mean, he was honestly one of my favorites. I feel like his series, the series that had him, I think it also had Strong Guy and Omega Red, Bishop, and then the second, like more chunky Apocalypse figure. I feel like that wave was kind of like a turning point. The X-Men line, the figures just started getting more heftier and detailed. And I just was so obsessed with all of those figures. None more than random. I love his Joe Quesada look. I love X Factor number 88. That was one of Peter David's last issues. Y'all, and anyone who has heard me yammering about X-Men before knows that anything Peter David X Factor is my jam. So this definitely qualifies for that. He's an absolute must for me.
Okay, but I have to ask. Do you want the action feature he has where it's like shoots out the missiles? Yeah,
absolutely. Like it was a non-intrusive action feature that you could, like, as you can see, anyone watching on YouTube can see in the picture, you could just set them in there. They weren't like some sort of auto firing, intrusive firing mechanism thing. It was really simple, really integrated. So yeah, this is an action feature. If they chose to include an action feature, I wouldn't be mad about it.
It looks so good seeing this figure after so many years. Obviously, I had it. I loved it. I love him with his chaps and everything. I don't, Flink, you have so much better of a memory than I do. Did Ryan Ting kind of confirm that he was on a list or that talks about him?
I think it was strongly, there was a reaction that led us to believe that random is definitely on the radar, as he should be. He should be. He
really should be. I would love to have him. I think he is a phenomenal figure. I mean, I'm shocked we haven't seen him already. Yeah,
I mean, we have basically all of 90s X Factor minus 90s Wolfsbane. I know we have Wolfsbane, but she's still not good enough. Mm-hmm. We got to have random to close out that team.
I almost feel that for that Danny Walgreens figure, they should have swapped out Wolfsbane for Magma, and everyone would just have been a lot more happy. And then we would have gotten a 90s Wolfsbane later, or X Factor Wolfsbane.
She's coming.
She's a coming.
Yeah. She's a coming. Speaking of one, well, actually, Daryl, you haven't reacted to random, please.
I think that he is a quintessential 90s look. Mm-hmm. And we got Strong Guy, which is the epitome of 90s comics, just gigantic, unrealistic. This is along the same lines. Like,
oh yeah,
you can easily see this figure fitting into our current displays. I think it's pick. Random is not a random pick.
Boom.
I agree. I mean, I feel like he's just necessary. Like, we need him.
Yep.
And speaking of necessary, just, thinking about some of the trouble that I've had with Sugarman and Strong Guy, if Hasbro wanted to include a stand so that a top-heavy, busty guy like Random won't take out my X Factor display every 5 minutes like Strong Guy does, that would be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah,
just putting that out there.
I'm glad you said that about Sugarman, because I had to move him towards the edge of the display and like balance him against like the shelf here, because he keeps. I had him in the back, and he just would tumble over like
Can't do
all
it
the time. I'm like, please stop doing that. Thank you.
I mean, the instinct is always to put the big guy at the back because, you want to put the shorter and the crouching people there so you can have a nice dynamic team lineup, but it's a risk. That's for sure.
It really is.
So aside from Random, another very necessary ToyBiz upgrade is, of course, the Banshee Jim Lee look. I mean,
Bravo.
What could even be said about getting a Jim Lee Banshee that hasn't been said a million times? He's just iconic and necessary, and the only missing piece for our blue and gold team plus supporting cast. And yes, just to clarify, my ToyBiz toy nerds, I am definitely referring to the X-Men Series 2 Banshee with the whistle built into his chest.
Yes.
No, I don't need the whistle. That's an action figure that was rather intrusive, so we don't need that one included here. I definitely would take a Generation X Banshee. I'll take anything Generation X, but definitely we got to have this classic Jim Lee look first.
I agree with you. I'm in such knee-deep nostalgia right now for Generation X. I want Generation X Emma and Generation X Banshee.
Oh yeah.
But like, we need the classic Jim. If someone asked me to choose, I would probably go with Gen X.
Wrong.
But I know, but
gotta go in order.
But that being said, though, the Jim Lee one, I mean, how could you not? How could you not?
Yeah. And I think they've talked about, I think Dwight addressed this in a live stream in the past year. They are trying to tackle the wings. That is what is holding them back right now, is trying to figure out an effective way to make Banshee's wings.
Ryan told us the same thing when it came to Siren, that they were trying to figure out how like the wings come out.
And I mean, with that, the rumors of a wave, the Siren is being tossed around for that wave. Maybe they've solved it. Once they make a Banshee, and I agree, this is iconic. Mm-hmm. They can do whatever version they want. I think that we need the giant size X-Men Banshee. So they can easily just do a different paint deco, basically, and pump that out in a multi-pack if they want to. This is a key person that is missing from every X display right now.
Yeah, because that is not a figure that holds up. The existing Banshee does not hold up. Banish it from your mind.
Well, so here's the other thing that Ryan Ting told us, and folks listening at home, go check out that episode. It's listed as season 1, Generations of X. Here's the thing he told us, which is Dwight, and I know he was being facetious, but Dwight was like, oh, I don't want to do Banshee because Banshee was the first Legends I did. And if I do him, he'll be the last Legends. So if they do him, I want him. But it can't be Dwight's last.
No, it can't be.
Like it can't.
No.
Like it can't. It could be a Dwight just making amends, with his past and moving forward. But yeah, that OG legend. Oh, I have him somewhere. I don't think he's that bad, but it's not good. He wasn't as bad as Emma. Emma was horrible in that wave.
I can't. My Emma blinders are definitely going to prevent me from ever saying that figure was worse than Banshee.
No, that is totally fine. That is a legit fair thing to say. But yeah, I mean, I want Banshee. We all want Banshee. I mean, bravo, Flink.
Well, he is my number 2 choice. So he's not, he's crucial for me, obviously, but he's not as crucial as Penance. Now, huge surprise here. Huge surprise. I somehow managed to find a way to make Monet my number 1 most wanted figure, even though she's technically never had an action figure before. So yes, I found a way to do that. Obviously, my most wanted right now version of Penance would, of course, be Hoxpox style Monet with Penance swap parts. But like I just said with Banshee, I am open to any and all Gen X characters, however they want to bring them. Bring on Chris Bachalo style Penance. I am absolutely fine with that. And what this figure is, it for me, if it was a little more articulated, had a little more paint on it, and was scaled up a little bit more, honestly, the sculpt would kind of hold up.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's a beautiful sculpt. And look at the details. Like, she's so sinewy, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. It's a beautiful. I remember getting this figure and knowing it was a beautiful figure. And the packaging, too. The packaging is gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, and she comes with a stand.
So my question about this figure, and I can't believe that I'm having to ask a question about Generation X because I feel like I'm betraying myself here.
Aye.
Did she ever actually wear this look outside of the covers? I only ever remember the black.
That's the only one I remember too.
Look.
Yeah. That's the only one I remember too. A lot of the later issues, I've wanted to do like such a big deep dive into Generation X, but there's only so many issues available digitally and in trade format. But the only time I can think of her wearing the purple was during that issue 1 cover. It was issue 1, right? The holographic one.
And issue 2, which was the one where she was the focus and they were all kind of looking at her.
Yeah.
I did tweet Marvel though about how they need to add the rest of Generation X to Marvel Unlimited.
Yes.
I definitely have all of the single issues still. So if anyone wants to come to Texas, have a reading party.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, I'll come over for that.
Okay, so Penance, a good number 1. I feel like my list is pretty strong here, but you guys definitely checked off a few that weren't on my list. So I'm excited to discuss what you guys came up with as well.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, Flink. Try harder.
I'm looking at the. You know what? I will. For you, I'll try harder. You're the only one. You're the only one that'll push me to try harder.
So that is a reference to Hoxpox. What was it? Issue 3, 4?
I'm looking. It was House of X, issue 4, page 9. Just to be exact.
Where Monet shades Jean Grey. And of course, it was an epic, salty scene. And who buys the original print from it? The actual pages from Pepe Larraz. Oh, Flink does.
I mean, of course, don't give me the option to buy a page of Monet sassing the shit out of Jean Grey and expect me to pass that by.
No,
never.
There you have it.
Not only is it super appealing because it's one of my very favorite characters, but it also gets a little in at Jean Grey, so makes me extra happy.
Oh, it does make it extra happy.
Extra happy.
Extra happy. Extra. Speaking of extra happy, Daryl.
All right.
Top 5 list.
Yeah. So my number 5 is someone that I know others in the Power of X-Men community have been advocating for to get a Legends figure. I think the look is so 90s that it's sick. It is Trevor Fitzroy.
Yes!
I have him right here in my hands. I have Trevor Fitzroy. Things that really stand out to me. Obviously, we don't have this character yet. Why I want this version is, everything that if you're seeing this on YouTube, you're seeing on your screens. If you're just listening, it is such a 90s look.
So 90s.
It's hard to go beyond green hair and crystal armor.
Yes.
Love it
to make the case why we need Trevor Fitzroy in this iteration. It's something that the kid in me would want this figure right away. If I saw it on the pegs growing up, I would immediately gravitate to this figure just for how it looks. And the fact that we haven't seen Trevor Fitzroy in Legends yet, it's just I'm surprised that we're 2 decades in. We've never had a Trevor Fitzroy, but with the current emphasis on 90s products, I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It would just be such a cool figure. And shout out to Hyrule Commander, who always DMs me asking if I can talk to the Hasbro people and get this figure made. And it's
Here
like,
we
no,
go.
it doesn't,
it
doesn't work that way.
We're manifesting it. We're putting it out into the world.
Wait, it doesn't work that way? I got 2 of my most wanted.
I know.
It only works. Talking about.
Listen, it only works for you. Okay.
What can I say? I'm a charming, charming man. I definitely Fitzroy was on my long list of like 15 characters that I had to whittle down for this. I loved this figure as a kid. I actually had the version that I had. He was the special metallic edition. The stripe on his outfit was gold instead of yellow. It came in a 2-pack with the exclusive at the time Maverick figure, and then it also had like a little metal Wolverine in there too,
like situated right in the center.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I think it was a Sears exclusive.
Oh my God. I was just
talking
from
a catalog.
I was just talking to Jeff about Sears, and Jeff was like, Sears was really big back in the day. I was like, no, it wasn't. And then he was here like, no, I'm talking about like the 90s back in the day. I was like, oh my God, you're right. I used to go to
had
Sears.
All kinds of exclusives.
That's where I found my 5-inch Rogue.
I mean,
was that Sears?
R.I.P. Sears.
Sorry, Sears.
Apparently there's a purple version of this figure. I've never seen it, but apparently there's a version where instead of the blue, it's purple. I looked it up on Google and it tells me it exists, but I have no idea how it was available. But fun fact.
I love Trevor Fitzroy in One Man's Worth, where he like zaps Xavier at the end and he goes, oh, he'll be fine in a day or 2. And then he just like walks through a portal. It was so like, I just have fond memories of the character. I have fond memories of this figure. So absolutely, Daryl, this is 110%. I don't know if I put him on my list ultimately, like my long list, but I would be very happy if we got Trevor Fitzroy.
Only
just keep him away from Emma.
For him to
yes, I was about to say that. Keep him away from Emma.
And something, just as I'm looking at this figure, since I have it in my hand, something I miss is just the back of the card.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Look at all the things you can get your parents to spend their money on.
Right? Oh my God, but it was so cheap back in it was so cheap back in the day, $5.99.
I think when I first started, I remember clearly the first X-Men figure I got was Storm, and she was $4.99.
Yes, at KB. Oh, at KB Toy Storm was $4.99. You're absolutely right.
And I mean, we even have a random. Random is right here on the back of this card. And also here, Morph.
Oh, it's the all winners card.
It is. Oh, so good. All right, next up, I have someone already referenced, but she made my list, Marrow.
Yes.
Marrow, this is how Marrow I feel should look. I've listened to other podcasts, and I think it's even been mentioned on Powers of X-Men that she's too pretty now. They gave her like a glamour makeover. I don't know why. Marrow is supposed to be frightening. And I think that this figure epitomizes a scary ass Marrow. You get the different bone shards as accessories. I can see this being a great Marvel legend. It's made to be a Marvel legend.
I still think of that scene where it was after Onslaught, maybe a little bit before Zero Tolerance, where she looks in the mirror and she controls her bones and she's beautiful and she's holding herself like this. I'm like, no. I mean, she was fine before the way she looked. And to your point, Daryl, she's supposed to be terrifying. I mean, this is a woman who had her heart ripped out by Storm. She's not going to be a supermodel. She's not going to be happy. She has had a very, very rough life. And I love her, how she is right here.
Just a minute ago, I was saying I wasn't sure that the ToyBiz version of Marrow was the version of Marrow I wanted, and that's why she wasn't on my list. And now I'm like looking at this figure, I'm like, I'm an idiot. This is how Marrow should look. This is exactly how I want her. She's hideous. She's like sassy. She's evil looking. Like, I love it. Excellent choice. I couldn't agree more. We gotta have this Marrow.
I love this entire Generation X wave, like wave 1 and wave 2. All those figures, it will go without saying I would be happy to get
even Protector / Orphan Maker.
Yes, I was about to say that. Even Orphan Maker, but give us a little nanny right there.
Yes. I mean, it's not nanny. If they come with nanny, it would have been over.
It would be over. Oh my god.
I will say, now that I have done a deep dive of that issue where that look is from, with you and Mary for our Merry Christmas special for Generations of X, I have a new appreciation for that Orphan Maker look. At the time, I was not about it though.
Oh, anyway, well, I'm glad you're more
aside.
I'm glad you're more merry about it now.
No, I'm more marrow about it, actually.
So my third pick, we need to round out the Summers clan. We're getting close, and this will get us one step closer. It is Corsair.
Daddy.
Yes, Daddy Summers. And
that should just be his name.
Daddy Summers.
Although
I call him his daddy because he doesn't have he doesn't look too daddy just yet, but he should be a daddy. He literally is. He's got grown children.
So this figure is actually at my local comic shop. They have it just hanging on the pegs. It is $15 right now. And I'm like, I am sorry. I can't do that. I can't pay $15.
I would have.
But I am tempted every single week I go in to get my pulls from Source Comics and Games in Minnesota. Shout out. Our local comic book shop. But this look, the headband, the Rider Strong hair. I mean, I know you love a good, strong Rider Strong hair.
I know. Don't get me started on Age of Apocalypse Iceman.
Oh, and this is what I picture when I think of Corsair.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the quintessential look for him. And it is. I think it's a matter of time before we get this exact figure. I
agree. I think he was, again, on my long list. He didn't make the short list because I think I would prefer to get a proper Lilandra before we dive into the Starjammers, but all of the Shi'ar heavy hitters are eventually necessary in my opinion. And Corsair is, after Lilandra, he's number 2 for me.
Well, we can have both. We can have a 2-pack.
Why not both?
On Amazon with Lilandra and Corsair.
So speaking of box sets with Corsair, the Corsair that I actually had, again, I had the weird versions.
Was it a Sears exclusive as well?
It was actually an FAO Schwartz exclusive. It was the Dark Phoenix box set, which at the time was the only way to get Dark Phoenix. I know they eventually released her, I think, single carded at KB Toys, but the first way to get the only Dark Phoenix was in a 4-pack with this Corsair, Space Wolverine, and God, I hate to say this name, Chode. And the Corsair, it was this exact figure, except the black parts were painted gray. And I thought he was just super fancy, even in his oddly colored costume. I love him.
We need to call out something from that statement before we talk about this figure, that Flink, as a child, went out of his way to get a special exclusive Jean figure.
Listen, I was uninformed. All right. Well, no, I mean, listen, in the 90s, around the time of the Phoenix Saga on the animated series, there was, I'm gonna say it, there was no X-Man cooler than Jean Grey. Yeah. Period. Yeah. I will give the lady her moment. It was deserved.
And that Dark Phoenix figure was eventually released in KB in that Marvel Universe 1-pack. It was just a straight up re-release. And I think I still have it somewhere here.
I know mine somewhere.
It's somewhere here. We raided Jeff's childhood home recently and we brought back a shit ton of figures. But listen, Corsair, Zaddy, I'm here for him. I keep saying Zaddy, daddy, because he is definitely a daddy. I would want him. Literally a daddy. But he's perfect, and I want him exactly like this.
And my last 2 picks, I'm going off of the X-Men theme. So,
okay.
Wow.
How dare you?
I know.
Eject, mute. How do I mute you?
My number 2 is the comics US Agent. And this is on the West Coast Avengers that we mentioned a little while back. This is perfect. They can do this on a retro card. and re-release it, just like ToyBiz just repainted a Captain America figure. Hasbro.
The star slightly to the left.
Just take a cap, paint it black, do a paint deco on the front of it, and I would be happy. So
I think it's very doable.
Yeah,
very doable. Just paint the new one, the 20th anniversary cap. That would be perfect for this.
I think that US Agent, obviously in the cultural zeitgeist after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we got the MCU version. It's time to get the comics version because we don't have it.
I mean, I'm probably definitely in the minority here, but I am a bigger fan of his unique 90s look from ForceWorks. I actually managed to track down one of these unreleased US Agent figures from the 90s Iron Man. So if we're going to get a retro card US Agent, I would probably lean towards this. I think they owe us a mainstream release of this, but obviously the black, white, and red is super iconic and super timely. So, you know, I think this look is great, and absolutely he's a great candidate for a retro card.
Wait, BB, how much did you pay for that unreleased ToyBiz figure?
$20.
My God, they didn't know the bounty they had.
They had no idea. Clearly,
they're like, yes, here, I'll pay cash. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that. Thanks a lot. And I have just like a lot of nostalgia for this figure, just because it was eventually redecoed as the Astral Plane Xavier in the Armor Wars, ToyBiz Armor Wars series. And that figure looked like a red Jolly Rancher, and I wanted to eat him up. He was awesome.
I know.
And
I love that one too.
This was rumored to be a Walgreens exclusive either this year or last year. I hate Walgreens exclusives for so many reasons.
I fucking hate them.
It's such a mess. I always have to buy the figures on eBay for double the price because I can never find them.
I've got binary on order overseas with Robot Kingdom because I'm not going to miss out on my favorite Carol Danvers because they decided to distribute her through the drugstore. I'm just not going to do it.
Well, the problem here in New York is that there is a Dwayne Reed / Walgreens on every fucking block. And if you look through the UPC codes, everyone has one figure of each, you know, like that was a problem with Danny, but they don't actually have the figure. Mm-hmm. So it is just going in, stopping at every Walgreens. It is a nightmare. I can't. And it's all walkable. So it's putting in a very laborious work for me. But yeah, I'm with you. I would love him. I think he's a likely candidate given that they announced West Coast. I think he's inevitable.
Yeah. And my number one pick is one of my favorite figures from growing up. It's from the Fantastic Four line. It's Firelord.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
This figure, I remember I did not have an in-scale Johnny Storm. So this was my Human Torch for the longest time because I just couldn't find a Human Torch.
Do what you got to do.
And the colors, I mean, this figure is vibrant and visually appealing. We need Firelord for obvious reasons. They're really leaning into the Fantastic Four in the next year because of the anniversary. This is something that we need. And I'm so surprised we haven't gotten one yet.
Well, you know how they could release him as a 2-pack with Green Phoenix.
Ooh.
Because him and Green Phoenix fought.
Did they?
During the Phoenix saga, yes. Do you not?
I don't remember.
Hang on. Hold up. Let me get some receipts here.
Wait, did we just make a Firelord discussion about Jean Grey?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. You're welcome, Internet. You're welcome.
Definitely agree that we need Firelord. We have Galactus. We have Nova. We have what's his name, who Firelord should have been a tier over for sure. Yes. But yeah, no, I think, you know, if we get another wave of Fantastic Four retro cards, which I think I said it in a past episode, but the Fantastic Four retro card is probably my favorite. I don't know, just the hologram on it. It's just very appealing.
And by the way, you'll remember the cover. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you remember that cover.
That's a cover of classic X-Men. No one remembers those covers.
Okay, but this happened. and then they reissued it. But no, it's an Art Adams cover. Stop. Look how cute it is.
Oh,
Look how cute. Gene Bean attacked by a Fire Lord, your number one pick.
yeah. So
I bet Flink is so happy right now.
How many times have
Flink
we
is so
mentioned
happy.
Jean Grey?
Not enough.
And I just want to put this out there for all of the employees of Hasbro that are listening, because we know that every single employee is listening. Right?
Duh.
We will take all of the credit if any of these figures are released. It's
100%.
Oh man, we will be obnoxious on social media. Sorry in advance.
I mean, look, if they had made my Richter without the boots that I made a big deal out of, then I wouldn't feel so special. But they put attention to detail was put in those boots. I'm taking credit for it.
And they called you out.
They called you out. They said this was your number one.
Oh, well, I didn't want to. I didn't want to say.
I didn't want to say that. No. All right.
Great choices, Daryl. Great choices.
Those were awesome, Daryl. All right. Let's move on. We'll move on to my list. And, with my list, I wanted it to be, pink jumpsuit Rogue. I wanted it to be Space Rider Jean Grey.
Who?
And exactly who. And everyone was so angry when we got that Space Rider Jean Grey. I call it Star Rider Jean Grey, but I forget. It's Space, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's Space. I call it Star because at the time I was obsessed with Sailor Moon, so I wanted everything to be a star. And I just ultimately I went with figures that have just not been made yet. So that's sort of where I wanted to go. My number 5 is Shard from the Missile Flyers series. She is Bishop's sister, and I love her so much. I mean, you're talking to a little gay boy from the 90s where an action figure came with a long braid hair, like actual hair. It was so magical, but she played such a big role in the X-Men animated series.
Give us the quote. You want to.
You're Mr. Sinister. And then Sinister says, and who are you? And she's here like a friend of Charles Xavier. And then she does a backflip. Like,
I mean, it's a fair question for Sinister to ask.
She ain't born yet.
She had been. No, I
I
love Shard and I love this figure, and I have very fond memories of that red backpack that she wears, that her missile flying backpack. The wings like spring up like an eagle's wings expanding, and I definitely remember it expanding into my eyeball. Had it a little too close to my face, got smacked in the face by Shard. But obviously, I love this look. I love her on the animated series. I love her as a hologram in X Factor. I fully support this as long as an Onslaught era Bishop with the shoulder pads and short hair isn't far behind.
We need a bald Bishop. Like, absolutely. And ToyBiz gave us one in the Legends wave. It was a variant. You know what I miss, sidebar? I miss variants.
I do and I don't. I do because you would get ones like that Bishop who I purchased over the regular version of the character because bald Bishop was my jam.
Absolutely.
Mullet Bishop wasn't so much. But I also, it was frustrating in instances like Mohawk Storm. She was just too damn hard to find. Dark Phoenix was too damn hard to find. So now they're both like $15 at Dallas Vintage Toys, which is insane to me. But like I see them, I'm tempted to buy them like every single time.
We paid like $75 for that Dark Phoenix.
I mean, I found her at retail, but I still.
Yeah, chase figures. Mattel does them a lot right now. I'm glad that Hasbro doesn't, because those variants, trying to find them, it's already hard enough sometimes to find figures in actual stores. Mm-hmm. I think we sort of get our exercise and our steps in when it comes to exclusives. So, this figure, it's obviously playing to a 90s trope of you need an action feature for a figure with the Missile Flyers line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really need that aspect, but I think Shard is a definite need in the line.
Definitely.
So how would you guys, speaking of bald Bishop and mullet Bishop, how would you take your Shard? With the long braid or without her braid? With the braid.
For sure. 100%. I mean, it doesn't need to be real, we don't need to have her wearing a wig, but I think the braid should exist.
It should exist. Agreed. Okay. So that was my number 5 pick. My next pick is
Oh,
Age of
yes.
Apocalypse Gambit. Obviously, we're relaunching a new season and we're going to be discussing Age of Apocalypse. When I saw Rogue and Magneto in the second wave of Age of Apocalypse, I'm like, we need Gambit. Like, Gambit just needs to be here. And I think Gambit and the Externals were one of the best stories in the Age of Apocalypse. I just loved it so much. And of course, we got him as part of Marvel's famous couple two-pack with Age of Apocalypse Rogue. I'm a little stumped by that because they're technically not together in Age of Apocalypse. I mean, they have the history, but she's very much with Magneto in there. And it was curious. But regardless, I love him and I want Gambit in this dystopian Robin Hood look.
I mean, honestly, how have we gotten 2 waves of AOA figures and not gotten Gambit?
Yeah.
Like, this is a total throwback to the 90s when he was teased and then canceled and then put in a 2-pack with a repainted White Queen. Like, if that's how we get him this time, I'm totally fine with that. But just one little side note about that. Can I just express my genuine happiness at having finally received an accurate AOA Rogue figure after all of these years?
Know. Did you get yours in? You got yours in, right?
I did. And she's my MVP of the wave for sure.
Oh, I agree. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With her moon boots.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You were complaining about those. And I was like, no.
When did I complain about moon boots?
That is a Joe Mad iconic touch. She needs her slouchy fat ankle boots.
When did I complain about that? I love the moon boots.
You did. You said they looked weird.
Was I high?
You might have been.
I might have
You
been.
might have been.
I'm like, why do we have moon boots here?
I'm glad that you love them now.
I love that you called her out as a repainted Emma Frost, because are you rewriting continuity that's not actually Rogue, but it's actually Emma Frost? She got a wig and then infiltrated Gambit.
I mean, it Mystique's done it. Why can't Emma? Everyone just wants that Cajun D.
Who doesn't?
He's so hot in that series.
One note on this, I am also surprised this wasn't in the second wave. I thought for sure as they were revealing them one by one, oh, Gambit's next. Gambit's next. It wasn't. And I was surprised that they chose Iceman over Gambit.
No, I wasn't.
Well, you know where I'm going with this Iceman figure. He does not have the Rider Strong hair.
It's
at all.
True.
He has the uncanny X-Force hair. It's not the original Age of Apocalypse parted down the middle hair, but he's still a great figure. I agree, though. I can see why we got Iceman over AOA Gambit, sadly.
I mean, I love Iceman. I would say that I'm more surprised we got Legion, I think, than Iceman, just because Iceman did get that figure in the armor series that I was talking about earlier, and that figure was so iconic to me and so cool in that like blue translucent plastic. I can see why the design team was like, hey, we need this translucent blue plastic amazing figure.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would trade him out for Gambit, but Gambit has to happen. And I honestly, yesterday when they had David Nakayama doing the live, the drawing, revealing the drawing during the PulseCon panel, I was certain at first, because he did all of the AOA box art, that we were like, he was going to be revealing AOA Gambit. I was convinced. And the first few seconds of that sketch were pretty affirming, and then it quickly went downhill from there. And
I think they're going to do a wave 3, and they needed to keep some heavy hitters back.
Fair.
Agreed. Fair. I agree. And Storm, Quicksilver, Siggy Dazzler, Gambit, those are figures I want to see there.
I will die if we get a cigarette smoking Dazzler figure.
Oh, Lila Cheney.
No.
Oh,
I don't know her.
What if she's a variant of Dazzler?
Listen, that's fine. She can be the chase that no one finds because no one cares.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Daryl. I think the reason why we got Legion or Iceman or whoever in lieu of Gambit is because they're going to need like a heavy hitter for wave 3. They have to be planning a wave.
And he'll be the headliner for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, they'll do Havoc if they already did Cyclops. They're going to do Alex and him and her.
Who knows? Maybe that'll be the version we get. I wouldn't mind. instead of another AOA wave, if we just started like inserting random AOA characters into main X waves, if like the Havoc that's rumored for the Vulcan wave wound up being AOA Havoc, cool.
I would be very happy with that too. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we need another wave. I agree. That's a really interesting point. I don't need it to be dedicated, especially if you're going to do like Vulcan and Maggot in a wave. Why not just throw in an Age of Apocalypse? Havoc.
Yeah.
All right. My next figure is Extreme.
Knew it.
And this is the Summers brother that I want done next. Sorry, Vulcan. But listen, I love a good 90s look. I mean, he's got the long hair. He doesn't have his backwards hat here, unfortunately. And I want him with his backwards hat. I love this character so much. He epitomizes 90s cool for me. And I know for a lot of people, he epitomizes the worst of the 90s. And that is fine.
Of ways.
In the best of ways. That is fine. But I love him very much. Obviously, he's become a major player again with the X-Men Legends series, where it's revealed that he is, in fact, the fourth Summers brother, and his memories are just locked away as well as everyone else's. So I want him. I would love to see him. How would they release him? I don't know. But if we're getting a Maggot in a main X-Men wave, they got to give us our boy.
It suddenly seems possible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I want Axe Attack all the way for this.
Oh, he has to have it. But I'll be honest, this ToyBiz figure, to me, I had it. It was pretty boring as a kid with the dull gray and black color scheme and that kind of old elf man face that he's got going on. But like you said,
so hot. Daddy elf.
It's just not, especially on the card art. It's not doing it for me. But
he's supposed to be a twink, not a daddy.
Exactly. If they made him a twink, put him in blue, gave him the backwards baseball cap, I would absolutely buy this figure enthusiastically. I don't want this version. I don't want a remake of the 90s ToyBiz, but if they gave us Extreme and all of his extremeness, I'm 110% on board.
Yeah. Absolutely. He doesn't need the facial hair like that. He needs a backwards baseball cap blue. And yes, agree. 100%. Not this.
And he needs to be a twink.
And he needs to be a twink.
See Nate Gray figure for inspo, please.
Yes. Thank you. Right there, center.
How many do you have right now, Dayspring? How many?
I have 6.
Oh my God.
I know. I can't help it. Well, our boy was on discount at Best Buy. That was a disrespect.
The disrespect.
Oh, and I'm still hoping. Here is something I would die on the hill I will die on. I want him to be re-released with another deco and new hands with a Madeline Pryor figure. Like a famous couple. Are you
famous incest?
Are you Flink? I can't remember. Are you pro or against the Maddie Nate?
Pro.
Thank you. No one is pro. The amount of DMs I get every time I post something about Maddie and Nate, I mean, it's lonely here. And this is a mount. I will die on this mount.
This is what the X-Men comics are about. If you're not interested in reading about an alternate universe clone's son boinking his clone mother, what are you reading X-Men for?
Then the X-Men aren't for you.
Yes,
right. The X-Men are literally not your bag. Like, no, if you're not here for that, then you don't deserve the Dark Phoenix saga. Like,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Now I'm gonna get the hate.
Yes,
which is fine because I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm gonna look into everything. For my queen, I will do anything.
God. And she was so great. I don't want to take this away from Extreme to talk about Madeline. But she was so great during the Nate Gray series. When people are how do you write Madeline? Oh, Madeline's always a reaction to Jean. And no, Nate Gray and Mutant X. Those are 2 great stories where Madeline shines on her own and she is portrayed independent of Jean. I mean, I know we have the 25th anniversary, issue or 25th issue.
I do have to say that you brought her up. You brought up Madeline and Mutant X. The only reason that figure did not make my list of redos is because she wasn't available at mass retail. I really reined myself in here and kept it to mass retail figures only. Otherwise, we would have had Puzzle Zoo Wolfsbane. We would have had Mutant X Maddie. We would have had Toy Fair Feral. I tried to keep it fair. I tried to keep it to the figures you could go into Toys R Us or KB and buy.
Maddie was definitely on my list, but I just thought, I think she is a figure we will truly eventually get.
And probably in that look, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got it from Diamond, so
I'm cautiously optimistic for that Maddie figure.
And but, Extreme, who we're here to talk about right now.
Listen, I really hope we get Extreme, but listen, I'm not holding my breath on this one, but he's number 3 for me. My next choice is Genesis. Oh, my goodness. That cover with him holding Cable.
Yes.
I mean, it's everything I love about the X-Men. I mean, he is Cable's future son, adopted. I'm still confused on if he adopted, is he, we know he's Jen Scott's son, but did Cable also bring him into Clan Ascani and the entire thing? I'm so confused by it, but I'm not confused by this look. I love that he is literally on Apocalypse's side. He has the Apocalypse look there. I mean, it is all that messy Summers family drama that just confuses casual readers and no one wants a part of, but it represents everything I love about the X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want this look. I want it.
I mean, this is definitely another from my long list. I absolutely adored this figure as a kid. I loved all of the different shades of blue and turquoise and the Apocalypse helmet. I love the maniacal smile. He needs to look like he's gonna murder me from across the room.
Yes.
I love it, and he has to come with spine with a Y. He has to have it.
And the thing, that maniacal look, because he has no redemption. I mean, he is just an angry villain. That's it. I don't need a Thanos or a heartfelt Apocalypse, long lost love narrative here. He is just angry at his dad. He is taking it out on him. He's joined his dad's worst enemy. And yes, I would love this with Cable, Jen Scott, and Genesis. Give me a family 3-pack a la Magneto with Wanda and Quicksilver on Amazon.
Yes. Genesis.
I mean, Genesis. Daryl, your feels?
Yeah, this is such an iconic look. You nailed it. This sculpt, as much as we really bag on action figures from our childhoods, this sculpt is so good.
It is.
I mean, you know exactly how to feel about this character just seeing it on the peg. And that's the thing that, even going back to our discussion earlier about if you were a kid wandering down the aisle, I would want this guy as a villain, even if I didn't know who he was.
I know. But you know what the best part of him was in the animated series, he was just Tyler. You know what I mean? Cable's son, that Cable was risking everything to go back and save. You know what I mean? And we see him as a kid and he's like, Dad, and hugging. And then you see, oh my God, he grows up to be Apocalypse 2. That's what I called him at the time. Oh my God, that's insane. And it sparked that curiosity and that appetite to find out what happens in the story and what happens in the comics. So this is why I love the character. He incited so much curiosity. I love the look and I love the bright colors.
I mean, what you just said was my only frame of reference for the character at the time that I bought this figure. I only knew that Tyler was as Cable's son, who he, like you said, risked it all to save the timeline for. Tyler, I can just picture.
Okay, thank you for that. Now that's all I'm going to hear. I'm literally going to be dreaming about that. Tyler!
Listen, if they release this figure, I will release a podcast of me only saying the word Tyler over and over.
Thank you.
But that was my frame of reference for this character. And so to have him, take up the Apocalypse mantle, it was, like you said, it just sparked my curiosity as to what the hell went wrong here.
I mean, it made you believe that Cable will lose somehow to
As
Apocalypse.
He always does.
And it was just a very profound story for a little kid to swallow. But
definitely.
Yeah. So there, number 2. My number 1, I did wrestle over this because I know this would be on Flink's list, and it was also on your list too, Daryl.
Yeah, it was before, because a peek behind the curtain. we shared our list with one another and adjusted so that we would have diversity on the list. This was also my number one.
Yeah.
This one was on all of our lists, and we let you have it, Dayspring. Congrats.
Thank you. I ultimately fought for it because, I mean, we need him. I mean, it is Chamber from Generation X, and I want him in the Generation X look.
100%.
That is the look we need. We need him with the yellow boots. I want a big old flame right there. Let me see some of the figures here. I'm trying to see, do we have any characters that have like fire on them, like molded into them?
I mean, there's the Human Torch has his little pieces.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
I'm looking
I mean, we have, I guess the closest thing we would have would be Cannonball's lower half.
Oh,
maybe?
You're right. Where is that figure? I think Jeff boxed him.
Oh.
Here we go. Yeah. So I want the fire effect like that. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't think I need the sparking action, sadly, but that is what I want. And I mean, I think he is. Here's the thing. If we're going to get Maggot and Vulcan, why aren't we getting Chamber?
No shit. Why aren't we getting Chamber first?
Yeah.
No, look, I'm not going to argue over who we should get first as long as we get them all. But Chamber was he wasn't just on my long list for this. He's on all of my Marvel Legends want lists. I want this figure so freaking bad. Like you said, I would be really curious to see how they would handle the chest flames, but he definitely does need to be powered up. No bandages covering his torso.
Yep.
And yeah, it has to be
done.
Uniform.
Yeah. Has to be done in Gen X.
Yeah. And can you imagine how beautiful that figure would be?
Oh,
no, beautiful. I can't.
I can't. You know what? You're right, Daryl. We can't. So Ryan, everyone at Hasbro who's listening, please just let us see it. Let's see how beautiful it can be.
Just show us how.
And he can
prove to us.
He can be a Build-A-Figure. Yeah, I'll take him as a Build-A-Figure. So that way we can get some budget with him.
I will buy the entire wave, even if it's an Iron Man wave.
I was gonna say, put him in an Iron Man wave.
Yeah, put him in an Iron Man wave. Put him in like an Avengers wave. We'll buy it. Put him in the next Eternals wave. We'll totally buy that.
I mean, I did buy the entire Eternals wave, so I don't.
So did I.
I'm really excited.
I'm waiting on Ajax.
That's the only one I'm missing too. My Angelina is here though, and she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. Shout out to Michelle Waffle Otero, who met Angie at the premiere.
Coming up.
She went with her husband JT and also Namor cosplay. They had a lot of fun. Can't wait.
I saw Namor cosplay in the background of some of like the actual Marvel account videos. I was like, we know that guy.
We know him. we know her.
If we were to only submit one character from our lists, are we in agreement that Chamber would be our mutual most wanted?
Hang on. Let me look through I was about to ask a similar question, like if we all wanted to pick one.
I stepped on your lines.
Why you're not stepping on my lines? It's an organic conversation.
While you're looking at that, Dayspring, I just want to bring up the multi-pack from Amazon. They did a flight one. They could do a Generation X one.
No shit.
We have 3 Generation X figures within our 15 long list. So I think obviously there are tons of cool looks. Who knows how well it would sell? I mean, that's why I think Alpha Flight was released in a box set. I love Alpha Flight, but if they did a wave, it would not sell. If they did a Generation X box set,
gangbusters.
Chamber separately, if Chamber was in a regular wave, sort of like Guardian was, and the rest of them are released in a box set, or not the rest. They can't fit that within just 5, but they did another one.
Well, think about a Gen X like box set. You will have heavy hitters like Banshee, Emma, and Jubilee.
Yep,
right there. And you know
what? Rollerblades. She needs rollerblades.
Listen, I know this is going to be contentious, but like I'm good spirited enough. You can throw in a Wolverine as well in there, but give us Penance and Chamber. I know. I knew they were going to give that. Listen,
if they're going to throw a Wolverine in there,
I'm just thinking of mass retail.
I mean, look, that's fine. And if they need to throw a Wolverine in there, just give me 90s noseless Wolverine to at least fit the area.
Oh, I love Feral Wolverine so much. I love that one so much.
And or throw Skin in there. I mean, there are some
Angelo
figures that we will never see unless they're released within a box set like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Hasbro, you have your next idea right here.
I know. Thank you.
Xbox
We're
One.
available for a consultation. Thank you.
Literally,
Yes.
consult us, please.
Looking at the figures here, let me sound them off since you guys don't have a PowerPoint in front of you, or if you do, I'll still sound them off. La Lunatica, Exodus, Random, Banshee, Penance, Trevor Fitzroy, Marrow, Corsair, U.S. Agent, Firelord, Shard, AOA Gambit, Extreme, Genesis, and Chamber. I'm between Chamber and Banshee. Those are the two that I would submit that hands down just needs to be done.
I would say Penance is obviously going to be, I would say Penance and Chamber. Let's rip off the Gen X Band-Aid. Let's kick the Gen X door down and just get our foot in the door.
Okay.
Yeah,
Madrox.
they did it with Age of Apocalypse. And it obviously was successful enough to do a second wave. So it ripped that Band-Aid off. I agree on Chamber and Banshee. It's tough for me to pick between the two of them. If we were really going to push, I would say Chamber, because we know that Banshee will be. He will be made eventually, if not in the next year. He's on a long list because he's going to be the anchor of one of the waves.
Yeah.
Chamber is less likely, but I think that is the one I would push forward as a dark horse pick for their marketing team.
He's so toyetic.
It is.
Yes, Toyetic. I love that. I'm gonna steal that. Like,
I think I stole it
adjective.
from the Hasbro team yesterday.
Yep.
So by all means.
Again, I had them on mute.
So
I had to go
rude.
listen to everything. All right, guys. Everyone in the Power of X-Men community knows where to find you all, but Madrox, why don't you tell us where folks at home can connect with you?
Yeah. People can find me on Instagram at Mac on Fleetwood. So it's like Fleetwood Mac, but Mac on Fleetwood.
And check out our coverage of the What If episodes. We go into great detail and we have so many great guests on there. I mean, voices that had never been on the podcast before or ever been on a podcast to begin with. So I'm so happy that we were able to do those.
This is me just learning that it's Mac on Fleetwood and not Macon Fleetwood. I'm like, who's Macon Fleetwood? I don't know her.
I don't know her.
I thought
Flick
that was
is
like a
Googling
sitcom
Macon
character.
Fleetwood.
Megan Fleetwood.
Oh, I got it now. Wow. The more
Wow.
you know.
More you know. Ja, du sabes. Flink, everyone knows where to find you. Where can folks at home connect with you?
I am at Flinkman on Instagram. And yeah, that's really the only socials I do. I'm on there sharing bullshit every day of my life. So come share in my sharing.
And we have season 1 called Generations of X, which is a podcast we did together. We have so many fantastic interviews there, from Ryan Ting to the Lee Waltz to the Gen X actors. Please go check them out. Flink has been on Power of X-Men. We've done reaction videos, and we have a kick-ass interview with Cy Spurrier, which is phenomenal. I mean, that was such a wonderful... That's when we made up and we came together.
That was when we decided to be friends again.
Depending on the month, we may or may not be friends, but
Right.
that was a very special... We both had like an emotional wave, and we came together for Cy, and that's a great episode.
Yeah.
Folks, we are relaunching the podcast as Power of X-Men Apocalypse, and Mr. Scott Free is going to be joining, and that's going to be November 15th. We will have some fun swag for that coming up, and we do have some interesting guests. And every time I announce a guest ahead of time, they end up ghosting me, so I'm not going to announce who we have, but one of them I am so excited for. And folks, please rate and review this podcast. I am Dayspring. You can hit us up at Power of X-Men on Instagram, not Twitter, because I only use Twitter when Instagram is down. Alrighty, folks, we'll see you next week.